Okay, we are live streaming to Facebook. The meeting is being recorded. You may begin.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Stonington Board of Police Commissioners for Thursday, February 11th, 2021. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Roger. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A couple of remarks from me prior to the remarks of the public. Back in 1988, the present chairman of the police commissioners, who at that time was Robert Simmons, had written a policy and procedure manual for the Board of Police Commissioners. That manual has not been updated or reviewed by legal counsel up to this time. So we presently referred this to the Daigle law firm, who has been hired to review our present rules and regulations for the Stonington Police Department. So after Attorney Daigle reviews this, we'll get back to you with a report on what his recommendation is for that manual. So that's going to be sometime in the near future, hopefully. The second thing is that we received a nice card. Is Beth Stewart and Darren's Beth's mother and Darren's mother-in-law deceased just recently, and the Stonington Police Department and the Police Commission members sent a fruit basket. We received a very nice note from the stewards on receiving that basket. As far as now, we'll move to remarks of the public. If you are on the schedule, agenda schedule already, please wait till that time to make your remarks. So what we want to know, if there's anybody online that is not on the agenda and would like to make comments or bring something to the attention of the Board of Police Commission, you may do so now. Is there anybody that would like to talk about that? Roger, do we have anybody?
And again, folks, if you've dialed in and you'd like to make comments, if you press *3 on your phone, that'll indicate to me you want to speak, and I'll
messenger video.
This is Dr. Falk, just confirming that I'm signed on to the meeting.
Yes, we hear you.
Yep, you're on a schedule, Doc. Is there anybody who is not on the schedule that would like to comment on any issue? Roger, do we have anybody of that?
I see nobody raising their hands at this time. Again, you'd have to press *3 on your phone, and we'll call on you.
All right. We'll move on to new business, and this is a request by Dr. Falk regarding having additional striping done on Washington Street for parking spaces. Dr. Falk, would you like to comment on your request, please?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to join the meeting and speak about this. So, as you all know, I'm an eye surgeon. I practice 35 Washington Street, and some of my patients have some visual issues. And what I've noticed is that when they park on the street out in front of my office, because of their inefficient parking, because they don't have any reference points, that the parking spaces out on the street are not optimally utilized. So my thought was, given you did such a nice job with the parking stripes on Jackson Avenue, that is there a possibility that we could put some reference parking stripes out here in front of my office to assist patients in parking correctly and utilizing parking on the street more efficiently?
Doc, I don't see an issue with that. One of the things that we do have to do is we have to have somebody mark the parking spots to make sure they're the appropriate size and in the appropriate locations. So we're going to need to go back to the company that we use to mark Jackson and Willow Street and get them to come in. I don't have a problem with that, and I think it'd be good for to make utilization of the spaces to the best. So what I recommend is that we're gonna go back to the company that did that, see if that's going to be any cost to us. the actual striping can be done by the Public Works of the town of Stonington, which at no cost, but we may have to have a cost for them delineating exactly where the parking spaces are. So we'll follow up with that and see if we can get that done. Of course, there'll be nothing done now until the spring, so it'll be a while before we get it done. But we will follow through with that, see what we can do on that.
All right, I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate you looking into that and taking my request on board, and we'll see what happens from there. Appreciate it very much, and great job. Appreciate the work that your department does very much. So, thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Okay.
So I'm going to sign off at this time. If that's can I sign off at this time?
We're gonna follow up with that. Well, no problem.
Right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.
Under old business, this is the signage for the Denison Pequot Nature Center signage. Is there anybody online from the Nature Center that wants to discuss that issue?
Hi, yes, Davnet Schaefer from the Nature Center here. Thank you for your time again today. We were joined with you in December regarding the request to add the Denison Pequot Seacoast Nature Center name to the attraction signs, which would be coordinated with the DOT highway attraction signs. And the request was made that we speak with our board and the Denison Homestead Board and make sure that we were aligned on the way the names are represented on the signs. So that is what I sent there, and did send that in advance to Chief Stewart to have him at least have a look at it and see if that met with what he felt were the appropriate requirements. So we're requesting to see if we can get those signs made and put onto those locations.
Yeah, we received the copies of that, and so did the other police commissioners. Is there any questions from any one of the police commissioners on this issue?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Tabor. Thank you for following up with the information. That's very helpful, and also coordinating the uniformity of requests. That's particularly helpful. The only thing I would note is on some of the examples that you sent, specifically sign 2 detail and sign 4. I think that the size of the lettering could be standard or uniform. It appears, I mean, at least to my eyes, which are old, that they're not the same. And I think with the spacing of the sign, the letter size could be uniform. I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, if that's
mock-ups, is that correct? These are just mock-ups. I think the official signage would actually have to be developed in concert with the highway department. Is that right, Chair?
Chief, isn't that true?
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. They'll just when they have the opportunity to produce them, then they'll put them out, and hopefully they'll be the same size.
Perfect. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from any other commissioners? Can I entertain a moment to approve the sign request from the Nature Center as submitted to the commission and to the chief? Have a motion to do that.
So moved.
Okay. Okay. Who made the first motion, please?
Commissioner Tabor.
Okay, and second by Commissioner Elmers. All in favor, signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, the motion carries. We'll follow through with that. Chief, we'll take care of that with the highway. So we're good there.
great. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next thing under old business is the issue of parking around the Clyde's cider mill parking on Stonington Road. It's been an issue that the commission has been trying to mitigate quite a while, going back well before I became on the commission. So I'd like to hear from anybody that'd like to talk about that particular issue. Are there anybody online that would like to talk about the parking on Stonington Road?
There are two people logged in. We'll see if we can't get them to unmute and be able to come on. I believe Diana is one person and Betty is the second who would like to speak to the issue.
Okay. Who would like to go first? Betty, you want to talk first?
Sure.
Yes, you want to talk.
I have lived across from Clyde Cider Mill for 61 years, and there's been a huge expansion of the business since that time. And there's always a struggle to maintain the road as a peaceful road. In October 1990, a group of North Stonington Road residents, including Jack Buckland, the former owner of Clyde's, were successful in having a portion of North Stonington Road from the intersection of Lantern Hill Road north to Route 184 designated as a Stonington Scenic Road. Our goal was to preserve and protect the rural qualities of this road. The road is a portion of the former New London to Providence Turnpike Toll Road, and a toll house still stands at the narrowest point of this road. Now, fast forward to 2021, how times have changed. From September to November, late November, parking and traffic issues are horrendous, especially on weekends. Increased cider mill business have caused these problems. Clyde's has expanded from a business that pressed apples for farmers and made cider to a business that sells and makes cider and wine, sells food and refreshments with tables available, has live entertainment on Saturday afternoons with encouraging patrons to linger, has outside vendors, and has tasting stations. I am not against having a cider mill across the street. It belongs there. But I am concerned about the huge increase of pedestrian and motor traffic. Before parking signs, which eliminated parking on one side of the road, were installed, cars weren't able to get through this narrow road.
Betty, can you hang on a minute, just a minute? Somebody that, if you please leave your microphones on mute, because we're picking up some additional background noise that I can't hear Betty talk. So please mute your device, your microphone while we're discussing this. Go ahead, Betty.
I think it was a dog barking. Before no parking signs were eliminated, which eliminated parking on one side of the road, were installed, it was difficult for cars to get through this narrow country road. Now, there's a constant stream of cars looking for those lost parking spaces. Why isn't there someone to direct traffic, especially on weekends? There is a huge overflow of cars from the cider mill parking lot. At 2:00 on October 10th, 2020, there were 138 cars parked along the side of North Stonington Road from the old school up past the cider mill north to Route 184. This was more than a half mile of cars. Couldn't patrons park at the Old Mystic School or the firehouse parking lot and be shuttled to the mill? Why can't the mill continue to press cider and hold demonstrations, but move its many sales venues elsewhere? Scenic road regulations limit the widening and grading of a road without good cause. I can think of no reason for tampering with this road. I'm sure Robert Frost, a lover of roads less traveled, would not object if I quoted him loosely to finalize my reasons for keeping North Stonington Road peaceful and scenic. I shall be telling this with a sigh, sometimes ages and ages hence. Two roads, Lantern Hill Road and North Stonington Road, diverged in the yellow wood, and I chose to keep mine narrow and less traveled, and that has made all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. We appreciate that. Take that into consideration. Who would like to speak next that's on the list?
Let's see. Diana Laurie, I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name. Are you online? Do not see that you're muted. I know Jane Burke also wanted to speak on this issue. Just need to unmute yourself, Jane.
Yes, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here with my husband, Richard. I've lived here for over 40 years. He's lived here even longer. We live a bit down from where Mrs. Tylaska lives. We're closer to the school admin building. And I would say that, you know, we like the cider mill. We think it's a great business. We're really happy to see that it's an ongoing endeavor. There's a new generation taking over. I will readily admit that the traffic does pick up in this area when they open, but they're only open a few months out of the year. I know that when they first open on the weekends, they're going to be busy. That's just part of living here. You know, they were here before we were. You know, if I go out of my driveway, I take a right, I take a left. I don't go up there because I know that I may run into traffic. That's just part of what I do. And frankly, I work from home. I'm here, all week, and I don't see that it's a problem during the week. It's a problem for a short period of time. You know, from my point of view as a resident, it's completely manageable for me. And, like I said, I can appreciate other people's point of view, but for my husband and I, where we live, I don't find it onerous or something that I can't deal with, because I think they're a very integral part of living in Old Mystic.
Great, thank you very much. Any other comments, Jane?
This is Diana Boersma. Sorry, I had trouble unmuting myself. I do not have the privilege of having lived here for 40 years. I've only been here a couple. I also live towards the school. I have found, I agree that during the week down where I am, there is minimal, if any, disruption. However, on weekends, there is significant disruption, which was largely but not completely mitigated last summer when some additional signage was put up. Before that, the North Stonington Road, including a large part of the road that the fire engines would have to go on, was reduced to a single lane of traffic because people were parking along one side of the road, completely in the road. And also there were, this is a part of the road, as in most parts of the road, frankly, where there is no sidewalk. So the pedestrians who are coming, some of them with dogs and with strollers and with other things, were also taking up they had to walk on the road because there was nowhere else for them to go. So you had two lanes of traffic trying to get through what was reduced to a one-lane road by the parking. I think from what I understand, as Betty Ann mentioned, the usage of the mill has greatly changed over the years. I wouldn't go so far as to call it a farmer's market, what they're operating, but they've got a lot of stalls in their parking area, selling other products that are not produced at the mill. Over the summer, they have increased the number of picnic tables in their front yard. from, I can't recall whether there were like 2, 3, 4, 5 at the beginning of the summer. By the end of the summer, I think there were more than 20. They've got the music going on the weekends. All of these things are encouraging people to stay much longer using it as a destination. And they don't have adequate parking to accommodate their customers. So the overflow into the neighborhood it is just 2 days a week that the overflow is there, unless there's a 3-day weekend. But the overflow is significant. It creates traffic hazards along North Stonington. And I don't think that the town is coordinating within itself with the various regulations that the mill is subject to. For example, I understand that this year they did make an application to increase the number of the picnic tables, which was approved, but the part of the town that approved the picnic tables, I don't think is talking to the police commission about what impact those tables might have upon the parking or on the neighborhood. So I would suggest, and I don't, there may be other parts of town government that the mill is working with to get approvals of various things that they're doing. And what I would suggest is that these various parts of the town coordinate with each other, and that the mill consider either Betty Ann's idea of having a shuttle from the school or some other location that has a lot of extra parking so that they don't have this impact on the neighborhood, or that they consider going back to their old mode of business, which did not have the live music on the weekends, which did not have the various things encouraging people to stay long periods of time there, and that would decrease their need for parking so that they could take care of more of their own parking needs rather than requiring the neighborhood to deal with them.
Thank you very much, Diane. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue from the public? You have to unmute yourself.
This is Christina Morgan. May I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Christina.
We too live right here next door to the mill, and have been always a big fan of the mill. Love what they do, love what they stand for, but truly have been concerned over the last few years about the safety of the people getting in and out of their cars. We've seen little kids almost get hit. We've seen toys get dropped in the street and little kids turn around to go get them. We've seen numerous times where cars are just barely missing each other or have hit each other. My husband's car has been just going by somebody. They've skimmed each other. It really is significantly different than it was when we moved here 22 years ago. And again, we love the business. We love the idea of the business, but some sort of management needs to occur on the weekends and the holidays to manage safety. It's really a safety issue, and the fire trucks need to be able to safely get down the road. The emergency vehicles need to get down the road. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I'm glad that we can come together to talk about it. It's important.
Great. Thank you, Christina. Any other comments from the public, please?
Yes, can I speak?
Okay, who's this?
This is Walt Wojcik.
Okay, sure, Walter, go ahead.
I'm good. Yeah, there's definitely been an increase in traffic, and I think a lot of that is due this year to the COVID situation, and I'm sure that the cider mill has seen a big increase in people coming because there was no place else to go. So, but as you know, over the years, it is what it is. If you live here, this is, if you like this situation, it's fine. I mean, I've been here my whole life too, and you just get used to that. And obviously you're going to have to figure out some other thing, with the parking. I mean, but other than that, I mean, it is what it is. And, being close to the site of Mill, I don't have an issue with it. I mean, we grew up here our whole lives, so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Walter. Appreciate that. Anybody else? The miners, I believe you want to talk to you. I think you're muted. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Bob. Yes. Yes, I know we're addressing an old issue, this issue of parking. It's always been an issue for us. There is no land available around us that we can purchase to expand our parking. We've tried. It's not available, and that's fine. But as Christina Morgan told me a couple of years ago, yes, I said, I know we're having a parking issue and I know we have some issues. She says, yes, but you are a business. And I said, yes, we are a business. We've been a business in Old Mystic for this year. It'll be 140 years. Now, my great-grandfather started this business and we have lived on that property. Our family has been there since 1881. Now, we have always, I'm just going to back up a little bit from what Mrs. Kalaska said. No, we haven't added anything. We have grown what we had. We sell sweet cider. We are the oldest manufacturer of hard cider in the United States. We have been manufacturing hard cider on that property with a federal and state permits since 1881. We are following all the federal laws, all the state laws, all the town laws. Our wine tastings, our sales, all of that are by the book. Everything we've done. As far as the woman who talked about the picnic tables in the early summer, we're not open in the early summer. My son lives on the property. He may have moved the picnic table down by the brook to have a picnic, but when we have picnic tables, it's the same amount that we've always had, and there's not 20 picnic tables down in front. I think we had a total of maybe 10 or 12 picnic tables, and we've had them for 20 years, either wooden ones or the ones that we have now. It's not something we've added in the last 2 or 3 years. But we have a parking issue. We know we have a parking issue. We've tried to find some solutions to it. There doesn't seem to be any really good solutions to it. She mentioned when we put the signs up, yes, people did start parking farther off the street, and I should have done that earlier. But like Walt said, we got slammed right out the gate this year, and it was because of COVID. There was no place to go. We were blown away. We said, oh my goodness, this is not a normal crazy for Clyde's. This is just crazy. And it's because there were no fairs to go to, no haunted houses, no hay rides, no mazes. And so they found us. And I'm sure this year when things are opened up again and you can go back to your favorite hay ride and your favorite pumpkin patch, we'll get back to our normal crazy. We tried a couple of years ago at the suggestion of the town to find out about getting ourselves the town hall suggestion, a tractor and a wagon. Well, I called my insurance company and my insurance company said, absolutely not. And then I tried a lot of these limousine services and these places that rent these things, and they all were very honest with me, and they said, we usually book all of our stuff up for weekends a long time ago. So, as far as being available when we needed them or on call, that was not feasible either. We realized that we have this parking issue, and we were throwing some ideas around, and we thought, well, maybe if the town if they would say, for weekends when it seems to be the worst, we have employees. What if our employees parked in the school lot, and before we open hours, when they all get there, we ferry them up in a couple of our trucks, or my daughter and husband and I will run down and bring our employees to the cider mill. So that would alleviate another maybe 10 or 12 spots in our lot that could be open for customers all day long. And as far as the products that are outside, I sell those products inside. Those products that I sell that are being sold outside are there are 5 of them, and they are local. They are 5 small local entrepreneurs. One's a book writes books. Another one makes dog cookies. Another one makes soupy. And then we have honey gentleman that sells his local honey. And then we have the gal from Turkeywood Farms, another 2 miles from us, that makes hickory syrup. Those are the people that are outside. I also sell their products inside. I don't charge them for a space outside. I'm very aware of young people and older people trying to be their own boss. And I encourage small business. And I look at these 5 people and I say, you know what? They're hard workers. They're willing to sit outside, sell their stuff so that they can push their business. And maybe they'll be more successful than they are just been sitting here. And so there's not vendors and vendors and vendors all over the place. They're the same 5 all the time.
And they're all ones that cannot afford a storefront.
Right, and they can't afford a storefront anywhere. So we're very mindful of our community and those that are around us. And we love all of our neighbors. We went through it today. We have grown up with probably half of them in the neighborhood, and the other half we watch their children grow up with our children. Anybody that moves into the neighborhood and has this big epiphany that, oh my God, what's going on here? They should go find their realtor and say, shame on you. You should have told me there was a very busy business for 8 to 10 weeks of the year on weekends up the road from where I bought. Don't go into it blindsided. You should know where you live. You should like where you live, and you should research where you buy so you'll be happy where you live. And, we have grown. We're in our grandchildren are, the oldest 2 are 22 and 21, and they're the 6th generation here. And they fortunately want to be involved in this business. Now, less than 1% of every business in the United States goes from generation 1 to generation 2. I am so blessed that my family has had the fortitude and the stick-to-itiveness to make this business work. And if you don't grow, you will die, and you will fall by the side of the road like all the other small businesses that started in this great country of ours, all the little millers and all the little cider mills and all the small little businesses that couldn't keep up. Because at least I look at my family and say, at least we all make a conscious effort to do something to improve ourselves, so when we pass it to the next generation, they have something that they can say, okay, we've been given a gift to work on. It is our job to keep this gift and keep it going so that it'll be here for the next generation. We are the last steam-powered cider mill in the United States. We are it. We have been, Smithsonian Institute gave us a plaque in 1990 that says we are on the National Historic of Mechanical Engineering Landmarks. Now, you know what? The first nuclear submarine in Groton did not make the cut, but Clyde Cider Mill made the cut. We have been looked at as that special little piece of Americana. And while we'll try to do as best we can with what we have, we're doing the best we can with what we have. And to suggest that we should cut back on our business because 2 days a week for 6 to 10 weeks ends a year makes an uncomfortable situation for some in our neighborhood is really not fair. We try to be good neighbors. We pick up the garbage along the street 3 times a week, and half of it's not most of it's just Dunkin' Donut cups. But I send out an employee every week with and garbage cans, and we pick up the whole thing. I mean, we're doing the very best we can. If anybody has anything more than just a suggestion, they have a fix, that would be great.
Our daughter, who lives in Mystic, All three of our children work for us full time.
Right.
It's their only job.
Right.
They didn't make a living from our business. Right. But our daughter, who lives in Mystic, suggested maybe for the middle of September until maybe the middle of November, we could turn North Stonington Road into a one-way
from the corner up
into a one-way street. That might be a suggestion. We don't know.
Yeah.
We're not traffic experts.
Right.
It's just another thought.
Just a thought. I mean, if there's only one way coming up from the 1st of September, starting at the corner of North Stonington Road where it's split to the 184, and the traffic would only be going one way, and we wouldn't have two cars trying to pass each other side by side.
And once the middle of November or Thanksgiving is over with, turn it back
into. Our other son did some research and said, that's not so far-fetched, Mom. He said they do it in Vermont in some places. They do it around some ski areas. They do it so that they can alleviate the same type of thing. And so, as I said, one way for 10, 12 weeks. And he said they do it in other parts of the country.
And still have the parking only on one side
and still own the parking on one side of the road. But that would alleviate traffic trying to cross each other. So that was just another suggestion. I mean, we turned Cottrell Street into one way, and it didn't seem to impede anything for anybody other than make it better. Everybody has to get used to new. We all don't like new. We don't like change, but sometimes we do. We have to, even if it's only for a short period of time. So it's just another thought. But that's what we could come up with, suggestions to alleviate some of the traffic. So
we can't grow our land anymore.
We have what we have.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Montmeyer. Is there anyone else that would like to speak from the public?
Yeah, can I say something? My name's John. I work at the cider mill. My parents own it. I just wanted to address what Diana said about the vendors. We have vendors set up in parking spaces. None of our vendors are set up in a parking space. They're set up in foot traffic areas only. 3 of them are set up where you cannot park a car. We have curbing there, and they're up on top of the curbing. And there's also 2 other ones that set up behind a fence. It's over by our entrance, and another gentleman sets up to sell his honey in the front yard, kind of behind a bush. So the vendors themselves are not really taking up any parking spaces. We try really hard to keep our employees at this point all park up in front of, we have a garage building where there's really limited parking if they weren't there anyway, and they go in car behind car behind car as tight as they can get up there. There's really nowhere to turn around. So people actually use it as parking area is tricky at best if you have anything larger than a smart car. So we do try and keep all of our employees up there. This year, hopefully we'll have an extra parking space or 2 because we're changing the way we're loading our apples onto our truck. So I think that we use down there we'll open up a couple of parking spaces. We are always very aware of the parking situation. We encourage people to park in the front yard. We encourage them to park anywhere they can fit their car on the property before they park in the street. I've never told people you can't park there. As long as another car can get around them, they can park wherever they want, pretty much. So we do the best we can. I just wanted to address that one thing, that none of our vendors are in parking spaces.
This is Diana Boersma again. I think at the beginning of your season, some of your vendors were in parking spaces, but they have been moved. The places where they are now located, if you are, they may have curbs or other things that would prevent someone from parking there. But if the curb could be, in some cases, removed with minimal expense, and then there would be a parking space. The cider mill is a great historical location here, but it is in a residential neighborhood. The reason it is permitted by the town is because it's grandfathered in, because it's been there forever. But it is grandfathered in as it has been operating for over 100 years. Each time you make a change that grows your business so that you continue to stay alive, As you grow and you grow, at some point you become a different kind of business. And part of what I was suggesting is that the various parts of the town that regulate your business as it is growing coordinate with each other so that both the town and you and frankly the neighborhood can work together to make sure that everything works for everyone.
Thank you, Diana. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to make a comment? Are there any police commissioners that would like to comment on the what we've heard so far? Commissioner Turner.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I'm a resident of Old Mystic, and I think that we all value the presence of the Clyde cider mill in the community, and I have seen firsthand how hard the miners work. And I was kind of happy to hear the dialogue between the business owners and the residents of that neighborhood. Within the last few years, that business has grown significantly outside of the traditional cider mill operation. There are many other things happening in there, and the miners talked to us tonight about needing to do that for the growth of their business. But with that, it shouldn't be at the detriment to the neighborhood. As police commissioners, one of our major oversights are for public safety and traffic. And during those weekends in the fall, we have a problem with both, with the cider mill. There are a lot of families have wonderful experiences bringing their children to the Clyde cider mill. I have brought my nieces and nephews since they were toddlers and know the experience is so positive. However, I also noticed that there are people in that roadway during those weekends in strollers, in the middle of the road, changing in and out of cars, and it's just often just too many people. I liked hearing some of the suggestions as far as being able to have either one way or potential for shuttles, but that's an expense that would be borne by the business. As you grow, there are certain things that you have to do, and if you have to have a shuttle and you purchase a vehicle and you work with the town to see if there's a venue available for us to move those people, that might be a positive solution moving forward. But I don't think it's to the fact that we just say to the residents that live on North Stonington Road that our business is growing and that's just the way it is. Because I'm a commissioner that bypasses that route the entire time that the Clyde cider mill is open. That's a direct route to my home. So in some ways, I'm inconvenienced because I have to take a different route to go home other than what I would normally done. And those homeowners along North Stonington Road are entitled to quiet enjoyment of their property. I am a realtor, and I heard your comment. I would not want to try to sell a home during the months that Clyde cider mill is really doing a wonderful job. I don't know how you would market it with all those people in front of it and all over the neighborhood. So what I'm saying is I think that the dialogue should continue. I think that we have some additional meetings between neighbors and the business owners to work a workable solution. Because I think with all the parties at the table, we can get there. I don't want to get to a point where we have some disaster along that roadway and we have several neighbors along the way who have year over year voiced their concerns to the police commission about a traffic problem there. I said that's a very risky situation. I don't care to be in as a police commissioner. So those are just my viewpoints. I think it's fixable, but I think all the players have to be on the table to get us to the point where we have a successful cider mill moving forward. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Turner. Commissioner Bates, you believe you have some comments?
Yes, thank you. I thank you to Commissioner Turner, and I did want to thank the miners for the very creative set of possible solutions. The idea of contemplating one way seems like it could be a very productive possible way to go. But I did just want to remind all of us that when we think about preserving what we love about this area, that only happens if we have an economy that allows us to preserve what we love about this area. There are a number of lovely little towns across New England that have essentially died because they have no viable business. So for my part, I'm very, very grateful to the miners and to others who have businesses that provide for jobs, that provide for taxes, that allow us to see Mystic and the North Stonington area that abuts Mystic, that they are able to maintain in such a beautiful way. And that, of course, does mean that there is some change and evolution. It's simply part of what has to happen if we're going to preserve what we most love about this area. So I do hope, as Commissioner Turner noted, that the discussion can continue, and I hope that we can be creative. And I would say also to leave it with Ms. Bursma's comment, we do need to coordinate better across town government. I think that that's a very valid point. And I think it would be important, as I discussed with the chair earlier today, that the Economic Development Commission is part of this discussion as to what can and should be done so that we can honor the desires of neighbors to the greatest extent possible, and also be supportive to our businesses who are the lifeblood of our local economy. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other comments from any other commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple. This is Commissioner Tabor. Historically, I've been known to sneak up to get a couple of cider donuts myself over the years, and thoroughly enjoy those. But I think, a lot of the comments, I think, for the folks that have spoken tonight, I think there are some valid concerns. I certainly appreciate the miners' efforts and the historic aspect of the cider mill being where it is. A couple of questions that I have. The vendors that have been discussed, and I understand there's 4 or 5 of them, where do they park when they're, do they unload their things there and maybe park at the school, or what do they do? I think you're muted there, Ms. Miner.
You there? It looks like my mom's having trouble.
Okay, there we are. All right. Okay. There we go. As far as that, we have the gal that does the syrups. Her husband brings her in the morning early morning on Saturday. He helps her set all up. He leaves her and he goes. The gentleman that does the honey, same thing. His wife or his daughter, or sometimes they switch off. Sometimes it's the daughter's turn to stay or whatever. They unload everything. One of them stays or 2 of them stays, and then they come back at night and pick them up. This gentleman that sells the soupy, he's gone by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He's got such a great little gig going there. That's it. He's in and he's out. He sells out his product and he's gone. And then there's the dog cookie lady. She comes and she stays. But if we needed to move her,
she parks behind the curb.
She parks behind,
no one can get to.
Right. She parks up where our son John was talking about, where we pack them in like sardines because you can't turn around in that area right at the very top. So we just pack everybody, as I call it. We go put the belly button, and we're just bumper to bumper all the way in there, and that's where she parks. But that's what they deal with that.
Basically, my understanding is that they're not taking up parking spaces along the road.
No. And in the lot, there's one, Diana, who does the dog cookies. She's the dog cookie lady. She stays. She's from North Stonington, and she doesn't have anybody to drop her off. She parks way up on the top, like I said, with the rest of the employees.
All right, and understandably, 4 or 5 isn't going to make a grand difference anyway. Right. But I was just curious.
Yeah, that's fine.
The second question, and I'm not sure. I think you answered it, that there was not. You don't have 20 picnic tables there, but somebody I think had indicated, one of the other folks that had called in had indicated that maybe you had been to the town to ask for an increase in tables. And
right.
So,
she's misunderstood. She's misinformed.
Okay. Well,
I can explain that to you.
Let me just ask you my question, and then you can respond to that. And because I'm uncertain as to where the where the facts lie there, but I guess my question related to that is, have you at all, or are you required at all, to go to the town zoning department and basically get a permit, if you will, or ask for an expansion of that use for your location?
we were approved through the state.
Be quiet. The picnic table issue, we have had picnic tables probably 25 years. Like I said, we've swapped them out when they brought it away, bringing in different picnic tables. We never added any picnic tables. We also are a bonded winery, and this last year there were some changes through the state of Connecticut that allowed us as a bonded winery to, if we chose to, we could sell. We haven't, but we could sell wine by the glass. We haven't done that, but they wanted us to lay out a footprint of spaces so the state could come down and make sure that we were not cramming in too much stuff in a space as far as the liquor laws go. So that's where that came from. So the state came down, we applied through the state of Connecticut through an extension for our liquor license. They came down and they said, you may do it here, 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 and here. And Candace Brown came over and said, that'd be fine. If that state says that's a good amount, Candace Palmer, that would be a good amount. That doesn't seem overabundant to me either. So that's what we did. And those are small little tables. Those aren't picnic tables. Those were like, made them out of like like a head of a barrel, 12 inches. And
yeah, I understand. I don't.
But we did go through proper channels with the state and the town for those little tables. The picnic tables, we've just had picnic tables for as long as we've been there. It's never been something that, you know.
Well, thank you. I was just looking for some clarity on that point. That's all. And so I appreciate your answer. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Tabor. Is there anyone else, any other commissioner has a statement? I'd just like to make one comment. The purview of this police commission is, as Commissioner Turner said, is for safety and parking. Economic development, though we're interested in that, lays with another agency, and as does zoning. That really doesn't fit into our mandate. So, you know, our main concern, like I said, is the safety and traffic that's being occurred out there. So my recommendation is that we table this and that we get together and when the weather breaks a little bit, come up there. Myself, Commissioner Turner has already expressed an interest in doing this. And with Captain Olson, we'll come up there and meet with each of the people involved and see if we can come up with a suggestion to come up with. So my recommendation is that we table this at this time and then we get together whenever the weather breaks, which I hope is going to be soon. So that's my suggestion. Any other commissioners have any other suggestions? Great. Well, we thank everybody that.
Okay.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Does someone else want to say something?
Yeah, I do. This is Richard Burke, 67 North Stonington Road. When you talk about safety, I wonder what our neighbors think about. I'm getting on that.
Someone needs to go on mute.
There's some kind of dog or something. Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
All right. I'd like to know what the neighbors think about the other 9 months of the year when we got cars going down this 25-mile-an-hour road, 60, 70 miles an hour. If it's issue with safety.
Well,
I think, you know, the cars actually in the road slow people down. And to me, it's kind of a nice time of year because you don't have cars screaming down the road.
Yeah. If it's a safety issue, it's a safety issue for other reasons of the year that really does need to be addressed.
I mean, you know, if they send an officer up here once in a while on the weekends just to make sure people are in line, that might help. But I still say the other 9 months of the year, we see no police. We see no policemen around here. We see no traffic control at all. I mean, it's an open road. I try to walk on this road, and I'm walking. There's no sidewalks in a lot of areas, and I got cars whipping by me 50, 60 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. So let's not be hypocrites about the safety issues. If you want to have safety, have it for everybody all year round.
Safety is a relative, Mr. Burchett, safety is a relative term, and certainly we would encourage you, if you have an issue with traffic and speeding up in that area, to please call the police department and express your concern, and we'll see. We could see if we can get an officer up there.
I call them all the time.
Good. Well,
It's good, but it doesn't do anything. I'm afraid.
All right. Any other comments? Thank you all for participating, and we'll get back to you in the near future on this issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
And next under old business is a report from our radio consultant in chief. I believe that you've got some comments on the radio issues.
Did somebody say donuts? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, stop that.
All right, sorry. Yeah, Richard is not on tonight. He apparently is sidetracked on what's going on. He has not completed the camera system, has not completed it. So my suggestion is this has gone on long enough in my book, is I'm going to give him 2 weeks. If he doesn't complete it and put a bow on this, then we're going to have to look for somebody else. We can't keep playing around with this. And I'll ask him for a week from now to give an update on where he stands. He did send one out here at sort of the 9th hour that I just forwarded off to the commissioners. But the bottom line is he's got to wrap this camera system up. If he can't, then we need to move on. That's the bottom line. So.
No, I agree, Chief. I mean, we've been chewing this fat on this issue for too long, and it's just time for him to either produce or be removed.
Yep. I got it.
I understand that we do have a possibility of having someone that we could go to if we do have to replace him.
I'm sure there's other vendors out there, and they'd be chomping at the bit. So he's come to the police commission 2 months in a row. I think you guys gave him the charge too, is to finish this off, and we're still waiting. So.
All right. Any of the commissioners any of the other police commissioners have a question or a comment? All right. So we'll table this and expect an answer from him by next meeting.
Yep. You'll either hear from him or we'll be interviewing another vendor.
All right. Number 5 is traffic and boating. Do we have anything on boating, Chief?
No, actually, we had 1 or 2 boating calls this past month, though. I think it was a kayaker and something else. I forgot what it was, but I guess they're gearing up, getting ready for the summer, I hope.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the boat at the report. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the Thursday, January 14th regular meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners as passed out to the members. Is there any comments on the minutes of that meeting? Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Thursday, January 14th, 2021 meeting.
Second, I need a second on this?
Second, Commissioner Tabor, second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. The motion passes. Report of the chief.
Good afternoon, everybody, or evening. It's close to that time. In your packets, you have the budget report. I guess at this point in time, we've done a little bit of the crisscross, which means that we're almost 60% through the fiscal year. And what is the bottom line? We've used 58% of our budget, which means that we are currently in the black when it comes to that. You can notice probably one of our biggest expenditures right now is regular overtime, which we're at 73.6% of our overtime. And that has a lot to do with having 5 officers vacancies right now. So we'll discuss that a little bit more later on. But the bottom line is that fiscally we are sound as we move forward from here. You're also in the packet is your monthly statistics. One of the big standouts has been pistol permit applications, where even this past month we had 30 applications, and compared to 6 last year. And we had 200 and some last year. So we continue on that sort of roll when people want to have the the opportunity to carry a pistol in the town of Stonington or the state. Alarm report, nothing there. Our special event schedule is blank right now. It's an open slate, so we'll have to see what happens with that. The next is E, bid waiver request from Dockside Electronics installation, upgrade of electronics to the marine boat, patrol boat. And on the line, the one, the only, earthquaking Lieutenant Schneider, who actually will talk about his work with the body cams as well. But Lieutenant Schneider. Brian.
Maybe you went out for donuts.
Brian, he's trying.
There he is.
Brian. I see him, but not him, but
He just texted me, Chief. He'll be back in a moment.
okay. I'll keep going down then. In your packet too are letters from Psychological Services. HB 6004 requires the psychological testing of police officers. So it's just more for your information that there's a bunch of organizations out there that are sort of jumping on that. Under G, Officer Brett Cody resigned this month and accepted his resignation. He is moving on to electric boat. So wish him all the best with that. And we have to, usually the police commission votes to accept his resignation. So I'd ask that.
Accept Officer Cody's recommendation, resignation.
So moved. Commissioner Tabor.
Tabor. And Turner seconds. All in favor, signify by raising your hand.
All right.
Close. Okay, go ahead. Yes, pass.
With that with Officer Cody's resignation, that leaves 5 openings right now, and obviously we have a executive session in a little while. We'll be doing some further testing with the LEC. They have written exams scheduled, and we should be jumping off with the uncertified candidates, if you want to call it that, recruit candidates here very shortly, and hopefully we have a good pool to before you or be selected to be police officers.
How many do we have? How many do we have that are going to be taking the exam that we know, Chief?
How many did we have? Right now we have 18 right now. So that have already taken it. They're already taken the exam, and we have a second one is scheduled. Correct?
There are 2 tests this month.
2 tests this month. So we'll have another pool right there.
Right.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed that we're able to pull from them. Under H is use of force. I was able to show the chair earlier today before the meeting that Natalie has basically put together a couple sheets here that we can do on a monthly basis to send out to the commission to basically show sort of a snapshot of any use of force case that we have during a particular month. So it will become part of the report. Basically, it's the type of force used. It was a suspect injured, officer injured. Did the suspect fail to comply with officer's orders? Was the incident reviewed by a supervisor? And the call type. So there's some interesting things that came out of just a quick look is that for 2020, every use of force issue was the suspect failed to comply with officer's orders before anything use of force was used. But you'll be seeing that in the future in your packet, and we could certainly discuss that. Under I, the elevator and side door, our elevator had, as you know, the building is over 20 years old now, and the side door. And we had some issues with that and had some pretty hefty expenses. Just the side door alone is over $5,000 to repair. And the elevator was pretty much about close to that as well. Also in your packet is under J an MOU. That's basically an update of a regional traffic unit that we have had with our neighbors, basically Groton Town, Ledyard, and ourselves, but now Groton City wants to join that. So that's part of our new updated MOU. It just went through the town attorney, Brian Estep, and he had done a nice job putting it together and making some revisions. The other three communities have already agreed to send it forward. So I sent it off to the Board of Selectmen for their next meeting later on this month to sign off on that regional MOU. And then hopefully, is Brian, are you back on, Brian?
Yeah, Chief, sorry about that. I'm back.
That's all right. That's all right. We're talking technology, and I was singing your praises. So fire away. Go for it, Brian.
All right. Would you like us to pick back up where we left off for Dockside Electronics?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. So earlier this year, we went out and sought a quote from Dockside Electronics regarding the replacement of all the electronics on the police boat. This is in reference to the FEMA grant that we were awarded for $50,000 for such replacement. As a result, we received a quote back with the specifications that we gave them in the amount of $39,644. And we're going to seek a bid waiver for that, specifically for a few reasons. One, we've used Dockside before for work on our boat. They do excellent work. They're right here in town, so any problems with issues that may come up regarding the hardware on the boat can be easily fixed or brought to their location pretty rapidly for a quick fix. And they're very familiar with the systems that they're about to install and have done so on several other of the public safety vessels in the area, specifically within the Marine Group. So they're intimately familiar with all the suite of electronics that we're about to put on. They're local, and they've done the work prior to that. So we're looking to see if we can get a bid waiver for that.
Basically, the police commission would have to vote to for us to go to the Board of Finance and request a bid waiver through Dockside Electronics for $39,644. But I believe 75% of that is going to be covered under the federal grant. So our take on that is $29,700 roughly.
Do you have a motion to apply for the bid waiver from the commissioner?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Commissioner Tabor.
All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carried. And Lieutenant Snyder, thank you so much for the work you did on the bids for the body cams.
Yeah, Brian, if you could talk about that a little bit. He's been working with Axon, and this past week he was able to get their quote down over $70,000. That's $70,000 from where they're at. And if you can give a little bit of an update on where we stand with that, Brian, it would be appreciated.
Sure, Chief. I missed some of that because my audio dropped. But right now, currently, and I apologize if I'm repeating what was already discussed, but right now we stand at about $356 for the body cams over a 5-year term. And our fleet quote hasn't changed from our previous one, which stands at about $170,000. There's going to be some movement with these because some of the programs and licensing that we've selected probably isn't going to be necessary at the end of the day. So you may see another reduction in the cost on the body cams. I don't see that happening. But I have been speaking with a new sales rep, and he's indicated that there are several options for us to kind of proceed with in regards to reducing price, maybe front loading some of the costs into the first year. These are going to be decisions that we'll have to vet out through the police commissioners and obviously the Board of Finance. But there's certainly a number of options on the table for payment.
Any questions from the commission?
What, Lieutenant, what's the typical longevity of one of the units? Not necessarily that they would break, but the technology would change. What's typically the case in the field?
So this program is unique to Axon in the sense that basically you subscribe to a 5-year plan, and in that plan, it provides a full warranty for the 5 years for any of the hardware or software that you currently have now. And at the end of the 5-year term, for the fleet, you would get a whole new set of fleet cameras for the cars. And after 3 years, you would get a whole new set of body cameras. And that would be replacing with the newest technology that they have. And part of this is obviously at the end of that 5-year term is a re-enrollment in the program. They call it a TAP program. That's their acronym for it. But essentially what happens is it allows you to constantly rotate out the equipment at a pre-given time frame of 3 or 5 years, and it allows you to always have the most up-to-date equipment. So as far as the longevity, it's not really necessary based on this program because they're constantly going to be updating it for us as part of it.
Okay.
Do you have a meeting, Brian, this next week, or at least a phone call?
Yeah, we're going to have another phone call with the sales rep. He's going to go over it. There's a lot of, there's probably too much to go into right now, not to confuse everybody, but there's a lot of options on the table where, like I said, that the quote is broken out into a 5-year payment plan. You can front load some of the cost into the first year and then break it down subsequent years after that. But there's also plans where we can do an early enrollment into some of the newest technology that they have, meaning that we, once we're approved through the Board of Finance, even if it's before July 1, we sign in a potential contract with them indicating that we are going to go with them after July 1, and they can reduce the cost even further there. And that gets us on a early enrollment plan so that we get some of the cameras right off the bat, which there's obviously a backlog due to COVID for some of this stuff. So there's a lot of things out there we'll have to discuss, but certainly at that meeting next week, Chief, we'll be able to dive into those options a little bit more.
Okay, if you can just let me know when the phone call is going to be, because I think Commissioner O'Shaughnessy sat in on one of the other presentations. So at least we have the police commission's ear to this because it's a big dollar item. That's for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I'll provide everybody. I'll send an email out as soon as I have a confirmation.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Consent agenda. We have the new post policy on badges and name tags.
Yeah, the only other thing that I had, Commissioner O'Shaughnessy, is that we've been working closely again with our chaplain program. One of them was supposed to be on at the beginning, but I think Father Tom had an emergency or something he had because he texted me that he couldn't sign on. But one of the things we're going to try and do is every other month or every third month have one of the chaplains sign on or attend the meeting and sort of give an update on what they have going on. So we had a good meeting even this morning with all of them. They're all present. They had some pretty good ideas. They're doing Fat Tuesday, bringing in sandwiches for the shifts of officers and coffee, and they're going to be writing notes again to all the officers. We talked about maybe having a coin made up for them so they have the ability to have that. We've been pretty active with a new person. Well, actually, she's not that new, with mobile outreach, and also a new person at Safe Futures, Kevin Barney, who used to be a sergeant at New London Police Department, did a lot of the domestic violence classes, etc., is going to be coming over here. So we're trying to connect our chaplains with that group as well, because they can sort of hopefully work with each other on those particular issues as well that is out there. And I always feel like I'm forgetting something. Everybody that has in the PD right now that is a police officer and a dispatcher has been offered the COVID-19 vaccination. For the most part, we have pretty good participation in that. We've had a few side effects with 3 officers, but other than that, not bad so far. So it's better than a ventilator, that's for sure. And anybody 65 or older, those shots are now should be able to sign up and available. And we go from there. And when hopefully the weather's going to get better here soon. That's all I got.
Well, I want to thank Commissioner Tabor for getting his shot. And I
have to wait for the next tranche, the ones less than 65, but
I'm still too young.
I wish I could say that.
I really love saying that.
Hey, Chief, one quick question before you finish up a report. You know, I hear on the news and I read stories about the impact that the virus has had, particularly on adolescents, kids in general, but adolescents, and I'm thinking more along the lines of some of the older adolescents, like high school age kids. Have we seen, you know, as maybe a possible relationship, have we seen any increase in issues with, you know, town youngsters that maybe are related? And obviously there's nothing specific. I don't think there's not any particular linkages. I'm just curious, that's all.
If you look at your monthly report on page, let's see, well, she didn't put it on there, but I do a tally on just juvenile related calls that we have for the particular month. And our new youth officer has been pretty busy going around and assisting the school department with some of those youngsters that are having issues online and other particular issues at home and the stressors that are associated with that. There's been obviously an uptick in mental health issues. We even discussed a little bit, I did it with our local area police chiefs. We had an uptick in intoxication recently, public intoxication that we had not seen in a while. So, I mean, I think people are feeling the stress of being locked up in their homes for so long and along that line. And I'm sure Commissioner Bates with 211 has seen their 211 calls probably did a pretty significant spike in the past couple months. I think everybody's sick of being at home and looking forward to having a vaccination and returning to whatever that new normal is going to be. So.
Well, just a thought, and maybe it's not a good thought, but I probably should have thought about it longer, but and not to mix metaphors with the school department, but would it be inappropriate for us or the youth officer if he felt it necessary to if they felt necessary to make a referral, if you will, to anyone in the Chaplin area, or is that something that's kind of we're calling outside our lines there?
No, we've been doing that, and also enlisting a variety of different services out there in the world to assist anybody that happens to be in need. I'm not sure all that often that maybe a 14 or 15-year-old is going to maybe want a chaplain as much as they need maybe a counselor for other issues that they may have. It's a matter of sort of fitting the right peg in the right hole as far as what is the best to do that. And that's why not only mobile outreach plus the domestic violence plus the chaplain program is a little bit of the Pythagorean theorem there that can be used as a tool, and at least they know about each other, what they can do, can't do, should do, and they feed off of each other or complement each other if possible or the need comes up. And that's sort of the things that we have going on. Carrie Browning, she's our youth officer, and she's been obviously working with the schools in a variety of different ways when some of these kids are having difficulties or not signing on to do their work for a while, and what's going on in the home, and if they need assistance. And so she's been busy. Matter of fact, she just went down the hallway a minute ago. I think she's, it's almost 6 o'clock at night, so she's been out and about with the kids. So.
Chief Stewart, I want to thank you for your coordination with the local Department of Education. I would just flag for Commissioner Tabor that in addition to the local resources, which are very important, the Department of Children and Families and the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services do have not only the mobile crisis, but there's also a specific youth mental health crisis line that we're involved in as a support to the school, but that also engages local teams, including mobile crisis. So there's a variety of resources. The local resources are important, and the resources available at the statewide level and in coordination with the State Department of Education and Children and Families are also part of that patchwork.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I know, I'm sure we all sailed through adolescence without any issues. But I think, with this virus, it's, I think certainly an additional stressor for kids. I only glean that from what I read and see on the news, and it's got to be problematic for some of the kids, I'm sure.
Well, we had mobile outreach here, and Officer Saunders has sort of taken over for Sergeant Hirsch, where Teresa was doing a lot of the stuff with mobile outreach. Joe is now trying to work his way in with that. They went out to, I think, 6 homes last week, sort of as a follow-up just to this mental health crisis that's out there. I think they talked with only 3 people who were at home, but one of them actually wanted assistance, needed assistance. And so in my book, that was a victory right there, one for 6. And they're going to continue to follow up. So we've put in place sort of a word of mouth inside the building that if anybody has a mental health call that they've been on, that they are following up to send that off to Sergeant Hirsch and Officer Saunders for further follow up with the mental health professionals to try and help out. So I think that's a good way right now to try and keep things going and to continue to assist people that may need assistance out there. So,
Right, great. That's
so
good.
just remember, when you see 10 ambulances, next time you see an ambulance with lights and siren on or flashing lights, you count it. There's 1. When you get to 10, 2 of those ambulances were more than likely mental health issues.
Yeah.
Just to make a comment, Chief, today the town received another $500 donation from us, the Yacht Club, and they met with Kerry today to give them that donation. I think that brings their total donation up to $1,500 that they've made to the town to use in this area. So it's really
Awesome.
great to hear.
Good. That's very good. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Right, I think I need a motion to go into an executive session for our interviews.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
All right. It'll take us a couple of minutes to get set up because we've got to make some changes here. So give us a few minutes to get going here before we interview. And when we get together again, we can pick out the questions. I believe some people have already picked out their questions for the interviews. We'll have to do that. So we're going to move to executive session now.
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. Do we have to change into that second meeting, or do we just stay on here?
Roger's going to change into it, Chief?
Yes, what we're going to do is I'll start when I finish this
And I'm
meeting.
gonna log off. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna go into executive session, I'm gonna drop off the meeting.
Okay. All right, Jim.
We can actually start the next meeting, or I can simply stop the live stream and stop the recording, and we can continue on this one if you like. I'll just make sure that the chief, Diana DeMarco, is not in here, and we can continue right here if you like.
Well, that would be helpful for me.
Yep.
All right.
All right, but I'm gonna go, so you can have your executive session.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, take care, everyone. All right.
We're going to be moving some stuff around here.
All right, give me 1 second here. Let me get this thing shut down. And I just want to remind everybody who may be watching on Facebook Live that when they come out of executive session,
Want to talk about this
we'll
on
come
another
back to a
time?
live stream while they.
The thing we were just talking about with the
Oh, yeah.
page or what?
Basically what it is
We are live streaming to Facebook. The meeting is again being recorded. We're back on the record.
We go to a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, Board of Police Commissioners conducted interviews, 3 candidates, for the police department, Stonington, Anthony Brito, Thomas Northrop, and Evan Souza. Do I have a motion, for hiring, Mr. Elmer?
I'll make a motion that we make a conditional offer to Anthony Brito, consistent with him meeting all the requirements, coming forward through appropriate training and meeting qualifications from Rhode Island and Connecticut.
And, the other 2 candidates?
I would ask that Mr. Northrop, as well as Mr. Souza, be placed on a standby status, conditional to our having the opportunity to interview future candidates.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Chief, you've been instructed to contact those candidates and give them the findings of the board, please. There's no other further business. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Bye.
All in favor, leave the room.
All in favor, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Take care.